Hey everybody, what's up? Tim here, and I hope wherever you're at today, you are doing awesome and crushing it, and that life is going well for you, or even if it isn't, you're determined to get things turned around. And if you've never watched any of my stuff before, if you've never watched any of my videos, or even if you watched every single one of them, just a reminder that I feel that my purpose in life is to inspire, encourage, to challenge, and to try to equip people with those things that are going to help them move forward, to become who you've wanted to become, to go where you've always wanted to go, and to get the things that you've wanted to get. And as a result of that, today, the title is There's Power in Your Autobiography. And I'm shooting from the grounds of my old high school alma mater, Northern Lebanon High School. And a huge shout out to all the Northern Lebanon grads, especially those from class of 1988. I love you guys and gals. You are some of the best people that I've ever known, and it was a privilege and is a privilege to know you and to just watch us all grow up and get older together and hopefully wiser. So why I came back here is because over the past couple days and weeks and months, I've done a bunch of reflecting, especially since COVID's affected us. You know, you get time in lockdown and you're thinking more about your life and things that are going on. There's a lot less activity. And it's caused me just to look back on my life and to do some deep reflecting. And you know, for a good part of my life, I had a bunch of the head knowledge that I try to share with you now. But it was just that. It was only practical, theoretical knowledge. Now, I did apply it and see some results. But it wasn't until it was truly tested and until I truly violated it that I found the power in it. And about 10 years ago, I went into a 3 or 4 year period of time where my life just absolutely went sideways. I experienced the death of both my parents, experienced the death of a daughter, lost several jobs, had some health issues, and it was a pretty horrible time. And during that time, I pretty much checked out, went into a deep, dark pit, and actually ended up violating all the things that I thought were true and good and right to see, is this really true, or have I just been kind of going down a path that was taking me nowhere? Have I just been kind of speaking it and it really wasn't valued and there really wasn't any substance to it? And was there a different way to go, a better way to go? And as a result of that, I did a tremendous amount of damage to myself, to other people, to a lot of different things. Now, thank God I got myself out of that. But one of the really cool things that came out of that is what I found, what was one of the worst times in my life, actually gave me the greatest gift. And in kind of going against everything that I believed in and was practicing and talking about, I found that by returning to that and by reinstituting it and putting it in place, it actually was able to not only restore me, to propel me to levels that I never even thought were possible. And as I look back on my life, I realized that that darkness was essential to get me to not only where I am now, but to where I want to go. And many times we look back in our lives and we beat ourselves up over the things that we've done, over the mistakes that we've made, over the hiccups, or we look at ourselves and say, you know, I'm not as far as I've wanted to be, and I haven't done this, and I haven't done that. And I got to tell you, that is exactly the wrong way to look at things. So if you think about your favorite movie or your favorite book, and you go back and you watch that movie over and over again, what do you focus on? Do you focus on the challenges and the difficulties, or do you focus on the victories and the successes and the great parts of the movie or the great parts of the book? Well, typically we focus on the great parts of the movie and the great parts of the book. We don't lock down on the negatives. Now, I love what Steve Jobs says. Steve Jobs said that you can only connect the dots of your life by looking backwards. So there's things that we're going to go through that don't make sense while we're going through them. We may not have wanted them. They might not be pleasant. We might have asked for them. Maybe we've created them. But looking at them, we think, this is pretty horrible. There's no way I can get through this. There's no way I can manage. But oftentimes, those are the things that move us forward and propel us forward, or bring us to a point where we really look in the mirror and say, you know, who do I want to become? And we make the changes that are needed. So when you go back and you read that favorite book or you look at that favorite movie, you typically concentrate on the highlights. You typically concentrate on the great things, which is why you read the book or see the movie again and again and again. Well, we've got to learn to do the same thing with our life. We can either concentrate on the mistakes and the garbage, or we can look back at all the victories. And you know, I think back to my days in high school, I had a lot of really good memories. There were some that were not so pleasant, but I got to tell you, they set me up for greater success. And connecting the dots backwards, they make more sense now than they did then. And I think that's super important, that we revisit our lives from time to time and we remember all of our victories and all of our successes. And when we read that book, watch that movie, or when we examine where we've come from, focus on your successes. Remember the things you've learned. Remember who you've become as a result of that. And focus on those things. Focus on the good times. Focus on all the skills that you developed, all the wisdom that you've acquired, and honor that, because it's those lessons that are going to help you get through today and are going to propel you forward into tomorrow and to step into that person you're trying to be, the thing you're trying to do, or whatever you're trying to get. Because I think the power, oftentimes, other than the power that's given to us by Almighty God and through Him, I think we have the power in our story. And when we go back and we read our story and we look at our story, we find there's a lot more than we give ourselves credit for. We've learned a lot. We picked up a lot of skills, a lot of talents. There's an awful lot of good in the story, but sometimes we forget it or block it out. And many times life gives us the lessons early on that if we just go back through and revisit them, we can repeat them and we can replicate them. One of my favorite movies is Rocky III. And in Rocky III, Rocky loses the belt to Clubber Lang, Mr. T, because he's gotten soft. He's become complacent. And complacency is the kiss of death. And he's challenged by his friend Apollo Creed to go back to the beginning, to get back that eye of the tiger, to revisit who he was when he was hungry and when he was on the edge and when he was really trying to gain success. But he gained success and he became soft. And he returns to who he was in the movie. He looked back and said, what did I do to get here? And he started to replicate those things. So I want you to think about, as you go back through and look at your autobiography, as you go back through and revisit your story, your movie, what are the things that you did that moved you forward? If you're not doing them, put them in place again. Put them in place again and resurrect them, because that's where the power lies. If you're not doing them, start doing them. And if you're doing anything that contradict them, stop doing those things. And if there's things that have always helped you to be successful and be fulfilled, or whatever it is you're trying to go for, continue to do those things. Just apply the start, stop, and the continue, because you know the answer. The answer's in your story. And you can go back and read that story anytime. The important part is to read the parts of the story that are empowering. And if there's parts that aren't, hey, don't beat yourself up. Don't criticize yourself. Don't fall down. Now, obviously, if you've got fences to repair and forgiveness to seek, then do it. But if there's been mistakes, you fall down 9 times, you get up 10. You fall down 10 times, you get up 11. I don't want to talk to and hang out with people who always got it together and who know what's figured out. I want to talk to some people who've been through some stuff and who've overcome and who've fallen down and made mistakes and had failures, because we learn in those places too. So when I look back on my life, I realize there's tremendous power in my autobiography. And I'm reminded of that when I come here, all the great things that happened in high school and then in college and through my life. There's power in your story. And just like we go back and we read the same book again, or we watch the same movie again, look for the good and figure out, what did I do that made me so good? Just like Rocky, what gave you that eye of the tiger? What gave you that edge? And bring that back to the surface. Honor your story. Get after it, study it, and return to the great things that made you who you are, because that's where the magic is. Once again, other than the power that God gives us, that's the most powerful asset you have, you and the power of your autobiography. So, once again, my job, as I see it, is to encourage you, inspire you, and challenge you. And I just want to put that out in front of you, that there's more to you than you have imagined. You've probably forgotten it. Resurrect it. Bring it to the surface. Look at your life. Figure out what you did well and return to that space. Get that eye of the tiger back, if you will. Get that edge back. Figure out what you did well, replicate it, and simply learn from the mistakes. Because I think we're the authors of our tomorrow, and our best days have yet to be written. So remember, there's power in your autobiography. Thanks so much for watching. This is Tim once again. Have an awesome, awesome day. Stay awesome, stay safe, and I'll talk to you soon.